that also. Thank you. Just a reminder, we do have our NLCP class coming up. It's the level 3 class. It's going to be on November 2nd and November 3rd. So it's a Saturday and Sunday class. You do have to have taken level 1 already. So if you already have level 1, you can take level 3, even though you haven't taken level 2. Question? Okay, yeah, so if you don't know, the NLCP is our Native Landscaping Certification Program. So there's 4 levels of classes. Each one focuses on a specific aspect of native plant gardening. That also covers about 40 native species, 5 invasive species. It's a Zoom presentation on the first day on Saturday, goes from about like 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then on the Sunday, you'll do a plant walk so you can actually see the plants living in the habitat or living in a garden, get some ideas of how you can use the plants in your own yards at home. So that's on our website. There should be a link. I don't know if you can share a link in the chat, Cindy, for folks. But it's also on our website. If you go to resources or native landscaping class, there are links on our website, the chapter website, and also the state website. So there are multiple avenues where you can find information about that. And I think we also shared that on our Facebook page. So if you follow us on Facebook, it should be there too.
Classes cost about $50.
Yes. Yeah, I think
it's not free.
Yeah, and that also counts for if you are a master naturalist, it counts as advanced training. I think like however many hours the class is, it counts for that many hours of advanced training. So if you are a master naturalist or master gardener, yeah, it counts. So if you need hours or need extra training hours, those count. And those are great ways to earn those hours. We will have a fall plant sale. We're still working out the dates. So if you have plants that you are wanting to bring to the sale, go ahead and dig them up now. Put them in pots so they are ready. We will let you know as soon as we finalize the date. So keep your ears open and keep your eyes open too. We'll let you know when it happens. Yes, and we also need volunteers. There will be a volunteer sign-up sheet for volunteering for before organizing, for labeling plants, for the day of, helping folks pick plants, choose plants, load them up, we need help with cashiers. So we'll have multiple shifts. So if you just want to do a couple hours, like even just coming to help set up or take down, like we need help with all of those options. And if you are a master naturalist, again, you can get volunteer hours for the setup and takedown, not for the sale itself, but for the setup and takedown. Those still count. So like 30 minutes, before and after, those work. Let me see. I think Cindy, you wanted to say something about the awardees.
Hi, everyone. I want to let you all know that we have several North Texas award winners this year that are going to be official presentation at the symposium in New Braunfels. But I would like to give special thanks to Amy Martin, our North Texas Wild DFW author and cheerleader for all things Native. She has won the Carol Abbott Memorial Award for writings in the popular vein of Texas native plants. And then also, she's not looking up yet, but Dallas member, but she also contributes at the state level and goes to a lot of, where is it? A lot of Collin County meetings. But our fellow Betsy Ferris over here, woo, is a Benny J. Simpson Fellow honoree. The honor of Fellow is conferred upon members in recognition for remarkable service to the society in advancing our mission at the state or chapter level. Fellows are chosen by the membership from a list of members with 10 years of continuous commemorable service. On top of that, we also have Cecil Carter. He was a longtime president and treasurer at the Trinity Forks chapter up in Denton, and was also a state president for several years and lots of board positions. And also Kim Conroe. was also awarded the fellowship. She started as a chapter president in North Central chapter, which is the Fort Worth chapter. And then she was also our state president for, I think 2 terms, but at least 1. Yeah. So she was she's been on several committees and other board members. So round of applause for those members.
Thank you, Cindy. And just a reminder for folks out there looking for volunteer hours or just more experience, or just if you feel like you want to help out with native plant things, we're always looking for people that want to write articles for the newsletter and to share on our website and Facebook. And though if you're doing educational type things, those will count for your Master Naturalist volunteer hours, because it's centered around native plant education and things like that. So that counts. It also counts if you want to help us do outreach. So we always have multiple requests for outreach tables at various like events happening around town, and we need more people that can help us do that. And those also count for volunteer hours. Also, something else. No, I'm blanking on it. Oh, just helping with our programs committee. So finding speakers, that also counts for volunteer hours. So please send us an email on the website, or come find me and tell me that you want to help, and we'll be very happy to have you. At the end, thank you, Cindy. At the end of the meeting today, we'll be going over to Gabriella E. Sophia's over off of Central for margaritas and Tex-Mex food if you would like to join us. It's just a tradition we have kept up. So without further ado, yes, Janet.
So we need some officers next.
Oh, okay. Well, we need a nomination committee first. So we need some volunteers that want to form the nomination committee. Yeah, we need some volunteers that want to help us, to help be members of the nomination committee, so that we can pick some officers for next year. So if you feel like you want to be an officer, or well, actually, yes, either option. If you want to be an officer, let us know. If you'd like to be on the nomination committee, please let us know, so we can get that rolling. I think the voting, well, yeah, that's usually selected in November, so we only have a few short months away. So please let us know. Without further ado, I will introduce our speaker for this evening. Lois is originally from Virginia, moved to Texas in 1980. After losing all of her flowers, vegetables, and bushes to inappropriate watering or care, Lois decided that she needed to learn about Texas landscape. After years of self-study, she sought additional knowledge and signed up to become a Texas County Master Gardener. This program helped, but then she wanted to know more about native plants, insects, and our place in the environment, thus becoming a Master Naturalist. Lois is dedicated to sharing her knowledge and helping her neighbors, friends, and all who will listen to know the best plants and practices to have a thriving flower, butterfly, pollinated vegetable, and more importantly, a native garden. Her certifications include Texas Master Gardener, Dallas County, North Texas Master Naturalist, board member of our chapter, the Dallas chapter of the Native Plant Society of Texas. She's a guide at the Laura W. Bush Native Texas Park, and she has received an entomology specialist certification. So thank you, Lois.
Okay, I've just done this, and you are the first group of people I'm presenting this to, so you're the guinea pigs. All right. As Katie said, when I moved to Texas, I was from Charlottesville, Virginia, and that is the piney woods type. So everything I bought was azaleas and dogwoods, so that didn't work. So over the years, I have learned how to deal, and I have a beautiful garden, and it's a native garden, and I'm really proud to share that with them. As it says, I will talk to anybody in my neighborhood about it. And so some people avoid me like the plague. But anyway, what I wanted to tell you is the most exciting thing that I do every year is in October, and it is to tag monarchs. And I want to thank John Watts of the Texas Discovery Gardens, because I volunteered down there for probably the last 10 years or more. And he was very gracious to let me work in the bug lab, where I could collect the the butterflies. I could catch them. I could clean the chambers. I was so excited to clean butterfly poo and yuck. I got to hold them. I got to touch them. I got to, and I learned so much from him. And so between him and Ellen, and I can never say Ellen's last name right, Gerling, who is a master naturalist also, I learned how to catch monarchs and I learned how to tag them. And so if you don't choose to do this on your own and you want to experience it, John does tag during the state fair twice a day when the monarchs are flying, the monarchs. And so it's usually, I think, at 10 and at 2 in the afternoon. But you can go by the Butterfly House or the TDG and ask, when is John going to be out there? And if you're fortunate enough, you'll see he'll be running out there with this massive net trying to catch them. So it's really fun. But I wanted to share this because this to me is one of the most exciting things you can do. So with the further ado, I will go forward. Oh, I have to, the mouse or something? Where? Okay.
Point it this way.
Point it down there. I'm doing the screen. Okay, we'll try this. Okay, I am supposed to, because I'm a master gardener, tell you that our mission is to educate the public regarding best horticulture practices, and that if you have a question, please contact us at dallasmg@ag.tamu.edu. So let's get started. Why, how, and when you should tag monarchs. So this is not going to be very long. For those of you who have actually gone down to see where I think Janet, and if anyone else has gone down to actually see where the monarchs winter over, please feel free to share. I mean, I don't feel a need to go, but I love watching and hearing about it. So what I wanted to start off with is all of us have put in a garden. You've put in a pollinator garden. You've done something for birds or wildlife. You may even have one of these wonderful signs. I have the native plant. I have the Monarch Watch, the wildlife habitat, and there's some other ones. And I mean, this is great because this kind of opens up your neighbors. You've got a sign there. They ask you about it, and then you can just go wild telling them all about your native plants, right? Well, I want you to think about also going a little bit further and start doing what some now call crowdsourcing or citizen science research projects. And if you've not done anything like this before, it's nothing critical. It's nothing really hard. The Journey North is the one that is based at the Arboretum at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and they're basically talking about the migration. You've got the hummingbirds, the common loons, of course, the monarchs. And so what you do is you go in and you type in your password and your login name and you observe, and then it will show up on the maps. So you can actually go to the website and see where are the monarchs coming, what's happening with the hummingbirds, have they already started? It's really cool. So you can also go to Project Monarch Health, and there's a big concern right now about monarchs. And I'm not going to try to even say the OE, which is a parasite, and it's affecting and it infects the monarchs and the queens. And there's a whole process. You do have to get a little bit of training to learn how to actually take a sample of the monarch, but you can still help with that project because scientists can't do it alone. They need help. And we as whether it's naturalist or you might want to call yourself a scientist, you can do this. You can also do Monarch Joint Venture. And what that is, it's a national partnership dedicated to conserving monarch butterflies. And there's 130 federal and state agencies, and they all work together with the goal of protecting the monarch migration. This is one of them. If you go onto that site, this is just one of the many that you could be involved in. It's the Monarch Larva Monitoring Project. So again, they've partnered with the group from Wisconsin-Madison Arboretum, and they are still, they're trying to keep track of the larvae and to know what's going on. The other thing you can do, and I'm hoping everyone is on iNaturalist. If not, we'll have a class on how to do this. It is the easiest thing in the world. It helps contribute to world science. All you got to do is download the app, log in, take pictures. It even helps you identify what it is, and then others will confirm that. So it will be research grade. It will also have a little one for kids. It's called Seek, and they walk around with their phone and they get to a plant and they get these little awards and this other stuff, and it helps. And all that information that's there for the kids that do actually goes into iNaturalist for their information. And I mean, it's just amazing. It is worldwide. It is just great. But what we're going to talk about is Monarch Watch, and you've probably heard about Monarch Watch. You also have to understand that my parents come from Kansas, and well, they didn't go to University of Kansas, but I was down from Lawrence, so I used to go up to Lawrence, where University of Kansas is, and they started doing the Monarch tagging with Dr. Chip Taylor in 1992. Now I'm going to tell you this stuff, and then we'll go back and I'll explain a little bit more about. But he started the actual tagging that we use now. There was a previous tagging before that, but their whole goal is they strive to provide the public with information about the biology of monarch butterflies and the spectacular migration. And they're mainly is talking about scientific education for primary and secondary schools. So there is a lot of things that they offer on their website that you can use in the educational field. I helped with an elementary school for about 12 years, and we did monarch tagging, a lot of other stuff that we got off from Monarch Watch. They do have an ability to where they give you a kit for rearing monarchs, and we ask that you really consider that this is only for education, because some people really get excited that they're going to raise monarchs, and but we want it to be an educational thing, just like when you were doing the painted ladies, and use that. All right. Oh, I did it. Didn't I do that? I did that wrong. I pushed the wrong button. Okay, now, why tag monarchs? All right, so I'll get into a little bit more as to exactly our monarch compared to other monarchs, but the International Union of Conservation of Nature added the monarchs to the red list in December 2023 as vulnerable. Now, many of us had it that they actually said it was endangered, but they kind of backed off a little bit. We won't go into any of that, but also the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service classified the monarchs in 2020 under the Endangered Species Act and as warranted but precluded. That means that every year they check it out, see if they need to actually put it on the endangered list. But to do that, that puts a whole nother level as you're aware, if there's the little frog or something somewhere, and then all of a sudden the wetlands and everything. So many things go into all that. So they reevaluate it every year, but so far it is not endangered. But we know that it is threatened, and we know that we need to do something because it's been declining. The population has been declining for the last 25 years, and it's because of the loss of the habitat. They're logging the trees down there. The herbicides. There's also the loss of milkweed that hosts the eggs for the insecticides, the Roundup Ready things, climate change, and of course the loss of the fir trees just overall down in the preserve. And really a cool thing, because I love doing research, is I found out that, you've heard about the Space Force that we have now. Well, there is a base that they are out in Colorado, and specifically Veronica Reed is the Buckley U.S. Fish and Wildlife biologist associated with the Space Force, and she has noted that by promoting the monarch conservation on military installations, that they can bring back the monarchs. So they are trying to put in more milkweeds, do all this stuff on military bases. So we're not out here alone, and I just thought it was kind of cool that the Space Force was doing that. So, all right. Do what? I am trying. There we go. Okay. Now, the thing about monarchs, I need y'all to understand they're in Lepidoptera. They're the family, and I can't say the words right, so I will not try to bastardize them. But the genus of Danus, there are 3 specific types of monarchs. So when some people will say they are not endangered, well, true. The big scope is not endangered, are African, are Southern, but the ones that are ours, the Plexippus, they truly are, and they are the ones that migrate up and down. And so that's the one we're talking about, but everybody just calls them the monarch. So I need you to understand that they are actually in 90 countries, any of the monarchs. So we need to be specific on which monarch we're talking about that's endangered, and it is the one that does the migration. All these others may just be found in the countries. Some of the monarchs may actually go down to the islands off of Florida and stuff, but ours are the only ones that truly migrate back and forth, and that's the ones that we're talking about. All right. So, all right. So you've probably heard all about this, and I'll just reiterate it again. What you've got, and you'll see from the map on the other side. Oh, I think I can do this. Yeah, you'll see. In the spring, the monarchs that have been down in Mexico because of the temperatures, whatever, they will all of a sudden decide, okay, cool, we need to go. So that generation comes up and they'll get about mid to the continent, and then they'll go again all to the very tip, and then they'll go into Canada and have fun. Other ones will go, the ones on the West Coast go up into the other parts of the West Canadian area. And the ones that were down in Florida, woo, maybe over this way, will go all the way up into Canada, New England, all that. And they'll do like 2 generations, 3 going up. All right. And so the thing is, then when the temperature gets right, the say the sun changes, all the different things that then trigger, this group will actually come over here. They will start and they will make this little beeline down into Mexico. And what will happen is that is that 4th generation. That's the one they call the super generation, or the super 4th generation are the ones who will actually come through, and they are in what is called diapause, which is they're not fully mature and they do not reproduce. They do not engage in sex. They do not lay eggs. The male and females don't interact. So they will be the last generation coming down from Canada, and they will live for almost 7 to 8 months. And that's why they call them the super generation. It's amazing. They really don't have documentation to say how all this works, but it's triggered. And I've talked with John Watts about it, and it was something concerning genetically. There's something that causes all this, but the bottom line is the ones on the east migration will go all the way down. Some will stop in Florida, some will come back and go around and kind of come through and go down to Mexico, and the other ones will go on the West Coast. All right. So if y'all ever have any questions or comments, because I'm just sharing with you research I've found and stuff. Okay. So let me think. What I'm going to try to do is there is the information as to how the tagging developed. Okay, so let's talk more about monarchs. You guys probably already know they have complete metamorphosis. They have an egg, larva, caterpillar, pupa, the chrysalis, and an adult. And what I wanted, okay, well, what I want you to be able to see is that in the normal life cycle of a monarch, from egg to adult, it's going to be about 37 days. From the minute it's lays an egg to it goes through its different stages, and then the caterpillar goes over, and then it has the chrysalis, and then it forms. All right, and so what I'm trying to get you to understand is that those first ones that come up from Mexico are going through that little generation, and that's what you see in most butterflies. But in the super generation, the last one, that is just, again, another reason why we need to preserve, and these are just amazing insects. So the way you identify a male and a female is the female has the bigger veins. You'll see the veins. You'll also find that they sometimes are slightly larger. The males have these little pouches or circles or whatever you want to call them down here that will identify it as a male. And you need to know this when you are tagging, because they want to know if it's a male or a female. All right, so that's why we want you to know all this. All right, so again, that last generation coming down is in diapause, or it is not going to be engaging in any kind of mating so that they lay eggs. And that's really important, because then they can conserve that energy as they're going down to Mexico. All right. So the reason I want you to know about what some people call lookalikes, and they aren't all lookalikes, but half the time, especially when I worked with kids, it was like, it's an orange butterfly, it's a monarch. And it was like, any orange butterfly is a monarch. And these little lines are not anywhere representative to 4 inches or 4 7/8 inch. But I wanted you to get the concept of the monarch is the biggest one, the viceroy, and then as you go down as to their comparison of sizes, just to give you a hint of what they look like, your monarch, and when their wings are folded. Of the caterpillar, it's real important because there are some mimics of the caterpillar. You'll notice the tentacles on each end, and those are sensory organs, but also they're like to try to confuse any predators because they don't know which is the head, which is the tail, no. But the other one, the main butterfly that most people would get confused with is the viceroy. And the viceroy does not host on any kind of milkweed, but they've got that line right here, but they still have all those little dots and the black. And so people think that's a monarch, but they are smaller by about an inch. And their caterpillar looks like bird poop. I mean, they look like bird poop. And then there's the Gulf Larry who hosts on your passion vine. And they're really cool when they close their wings and the underneath side, it's kind of iridescent. And their caterpillars totally are not like monarch because they've got the spikes on them. Then, of course, you've got the queen, and the queen looks a lot like a monarch in the sense of the dots and the coloring. And your queen does host on the milkweed and butterfly weed. So they'll see that. But again, the caterpillar, as you'll see, has this kind of same, but it's got 6 tentacles. So there'll be another one in the middle. And that's how you can tell that's not a monarch. So just be aware. And then there's, of course, the painted lady that, again, I don't even understand why, but it's kind of orange. And all the kids at the school would be going, woohoo, exciting. The other thing is that this caterpillar, which to me, again, does not look anything like a monarch, but a lot of people see the black swallowtail caterpillar and go, it's a monarch. If it's on fennel, dill, rue, if it's not on milkweed, it's not a monarch. All right. I mean, it's real easy and simple. All right. So I wanted you to know a little bit about our milkweed. You can go to our website, the NPSOT website, and they have 13 native milkweeds that they talk about. My 2 favorite ones that I have been able to grow really well are the viridis and the asperula. It's really important that you know your Latin nomenclature, your whatever is the term I'm supposed to use. Because if you go and ask for a milkweed, somebody will go, oh, well, it's the common green. And you're like, what's the common green? Or it's this rose, and it's like, what's the rose? So you want to know exactly which one you want. And again, these are 2 of the best ones that I have been able to grow, but that does not mean that you can't grow others. The antelope horn is really cool because, oh, I did it again. My finger's on the wrong one. I am so sorry, people. I've disconnected. The antelope horn is just that. You have what looks like antelope horns as the seed pods. And there is a whole process to go through cold sterilization and how to get your seeds to go. But you can also buy them like we just did at the Texas Discovery Garden this weekend, and you can plant them. All right. So let's go down to monarch tagging. This specifically, all these pictures are mostly mine that I've done. And I wanted you to see this one because this is not my tag, but it looks like it kind of was one there. We caught this when I was at an event, and the tag actually was falling off. So we quickly stuck it on. I took a picture because I wanted to keep this. And then I re-tagged it because the tag would not stay. So I went into the Monarch Watch location where you do your tagging, and I noted that this one you have 2 places to put your tag information. And this was, I found one, and then I re-tagged it. And it came from, I believe, Wisconsin. And so I was just like, I'm at this event just going, yeah, these people are going, what is wrong with this woman? But to me, it was just amazing. So anyway, I want you to understand the history of the monarch tagging. And it started with Dr. Urquhart, Fred Urquhart and his wife, Nora. And they spent 40 years looking for where the monarchs actually showed up. at the end for the migration. They spent years and years and years. They began the first tagging. The tags were everything from all kinds of awful glue that killed all the monarchs. They finally eventually came to, and there will be a picture later, where they took a hole punch and they punched in that wing above. Yes, I know we're all like, they did a hole punch. They got this glue that would not kill it, but it was like in a fingernail polish container, and they took and they would put that glue around that hole, and then they had a tag that they would fold over and hold it, and there you go. And they did that for almost 40 years. And so they started doing it in 1952. They specifically started, and they advertised, and I think I've got the specific, the Natural History magazine up at the University of Toronto in Ontario, and they were asking in 1952 for research associates. That's what they called people who are not scientists to help. And they wanted people to go out, especially in Canada, because they had so many, they could then punch that hole. And if you see, oh, boo, 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 right there, there's the tag right there. And so they would do that, and then they had people all the way looking for where they ended up, and they kept looking and looking and looking and looking. Well, finally in 1975, Catalina Trail, she went by, well, her husband called her Kathy, but she and her husband Kenneth Brugger spent 2 years searching around. They'd seen them in Mexico. They knew they were down there, and specifically, in my opinion, Catalina had more of a connection with the people in the area, that she could talk with them and they would share exactly where they needed to go. And so they have specifically January 9th, 1975, and I have that cat from the magazine. I didn't know I was such a geek about this until I found this in a box. This has an article in the very beginning written by Mr. Urquhart, Dr. Urquhart, explaining about all this and how they've been about, and they found it, and that was it. You now knew where they came. And so he actually got to go. He was very old. He actually got to go down there. He said when he got down there, he almost felt he was going to, or got up to it, he almost felt he was going to die because of having to go so far. But he got to actually visit, which was really cool. And so they stopped in 1992. So at the University of Kansas in Lawrence, Dr. Taylor, Chip Taylor, he has since retired, and they've taken on and got more personnel out there. And this year they are doing a commemorative fun thing, trying to raise funds to do certain things to commemorate it on the campus. But he decided to relaunch the scientific tagging program, and so he started experimenting. So he got a bunch of people together, and he actually got a professor from the high school over in Olathe, which is close to Lawrence, and they would print off tags on their IBM printer and see if those would work, and that wasn't working or anything. So they got together with a company, and I wanted to get the company's names correct. It was the Watson Label Company, along with 3M, and they collaborated, and they finally figured out that they needed adhesive number 9442, and it worked. And I'll send these around. These are actual tags that ended up resulting. I can't use these this year; they're 2 years old, and so they don't want us to use them for it. So I can use these instead. It'd be perfect. If you want to keep one, take one off, stick it on your finger. So that's what they came up with. And so on that first year they did it, they got students and others, and they tagged 4,000 children, 500 adults, and they estimated they tagged, what did they say, 5,000 to 6,000. So there you go. Now we have tags, and we're going down to Mexico. All cool. And this is him when he went down. He's right in there. He's right there, and he's just being covered. And I think Janet can tell you what it's like to go down and to just be encased in monarchs. All right. Now, I want you, before we start this, I want you to just see all this amazing, this is roosting in Mexico. This is a 2-minute or less than trailer for a movie. If you ever want to watch it, it's called Flight of the Butterflies, but it's about Dr. Urquhart and how he did this. To me, this is just like amazing, but you don't have to. But this is just a very short, go for it, example. That's the wing scale. We'll talk about that. Coming soon. I think I can do this. Can you? So that's again only 40 minutes. It's Flight of the Butterflies. If you actually go to a different location, if you type in Flight of Monarchs or something, you'll get something different. Can I? Okay. All right. So what you saw in that very beginning, you saw the wing and you saw those little teeny things on it. Those are the scales. Every butterfly has thousands and thousands of scales on their wings. That's what makes the color, and that's what gives them that wonderful appearance and also helps them fly. What John has told me is that, and I've experienced it because I've collected so many butterflies, when they emerge from their chrysalis, they are not wet. Anybody tell you that, smile and go, okay. But no, they're not, because I've collected enough, they aren't. They're never wet. They have to harden their wings. The wings are coming out and they're crushed up. And they have about, I think, 25 minutes to get the fluid in their abdomen to pump up into their wings, into those hollow areas of the bones. And if they don't get that out there and get them stretched right and get them hard, they can't fly. So when people say, if you touch a butterfly, they're going to die. Well, you're going to take off some of those scales. You also might break their wings. So ideally, please don't try to, all the kids at my school I helped with, they'd all be out there going, and of course they kill them because they were trying to catch them like this until we taught them how to use nets. But I want you to understand that that's part of the nature of the butterfly, is that they are not wet. They have to harden their wings and off they go. So usually it only takes, as I said, 20, 25 minutes. And each one of those little scales all go together to make all that beautiful color. All right. So how do you tag monarchs? Real simple. You order your tags. You find the monarchs, you catch the monarchs, you ID and decide if they're boy or girl, or male and female, and you place the tags and you record it, and then you have fun. All right. So you order sometime in August or September, you go to Monarch Watch, their shop, and you order this wonderful thing. It comes with the tags I sent around with this wonderful instructions. They tell you how to fill out the form, how to tag. And it's just real easy. Once you get past that first time you catch a monarch and you're going like this and trying to put the tag on because you're kind of nervous. But after that, it's wonderful. They also have different places on their website to try to tell you when to kind of expect for your zip code or your latitude. Now, we have just received a newsletter that says you might need to be expecting to tag later on in October because of so much heat and all the different things. And so sometimes the state fair is a perfect indicator for our monarchs for tagging, but sometimes that last week of the state fair, that last couple of days, they're no longer there. It's gotten to be 55 or so at night and it doesn't warm up. We might be tagging all the way into the 1st of November. You never know. You can't gauge these. I have people who go, I want you to come and tag on this day. And it's like, I can't guarantee that, but okay. So you'll get all this and they will ship it to you about, like I got mine last week. And they don't want you to start tagging when you just see them, because a lot of these are not the ones that are migrating. The ones that are migrating are usually going to look a little raggedy because they've been flying for so long. They're not going to look like these beautiful pristine, and I'll show you a couple of those. So you want to find your monarchs. If you have gardens, you might find them in yours. You know a school that's got a garden, you know native places. This picture was down at Dallas Trinity Forest, and they're on the Roosevelt weed or poverty weed, the Baccharis neglecta. Those are great. We have those. They are out at the Bush Library along with goldenrod, and that's where most of the monarchs are there. You can go to the White Rock Lake Bathhouse Pollinator Garden, and they have lots of monarchs there. Moss Park, right over there, Riverton Park, anywhere you find it. Now, you ideally would hope to have native plants, but you know, at this point, they need nutrition, they need food. If they are coming to zinnias, anything that is not a true quote unquote native, we just want them to get food. So anything that will feed them would be good. So I'm not going to say, oh, no, if you don't have native plants, you won't get monarchs, but we would prefer that we have native plants because it would give them better nutrition. So you're going to catch your monarch. Okay, this is where you get all excited. Yay! You get a net. You want to get as big a net as you can. All right, as far as this is 14 inches. This is what I let the kids use at school. And you know, you just go out and catch a net, right? You just, you know, well, no, you don't. And Jan's laughing because I tried to teach you. Jan was with me one time. Then you're going to see a video of this wonderful man named Casey from Monarch Watch. And you can go to their website, to the YouTube channel, and they'll tell you everything about how to catch, tag. And, you know, the way he does it, I'm like, wow, that's really great. Doesn't work for me, but, you know, it's really cool watching him do it. But you're going to need to practice, whether it's on monarchs or any other butterfly, or just to feel comfortable. And so he's going to show you a way to come up, and then you get your net and your butterflies in here. And I've never really gotten a lot of that really well. What I found with where I get mine is I have abelia plants, bushes, and they're all sitting up there. And that's why you see this picture here. That's the, they're holding the net above, because some of my plants, I don't want to beat up those wonderful flowers to get my monarch. I don't want to just come over and go, so I actually will go and go over it. And the butterflies immediately want to go high. They want to get away from you. So they go up, and I catch them up here. And then you're going to go in, and you're going to feel comfortable going in. You're going to hold it here at the end, and you're going to come in here, and you're going to grab the butterfly by those forewings, those two up by the thorax at the top, and then you're good. I think at some point they're like, okay, I'm either going to get eaten, or if I just relax, just be cool, it would be all right. But so you need to practice. You won't catch them all the time, but get a really good one. This one telescopes, I think I can get it down to, I don't know, maybe a little bit more. It gets a little ridiculous, but you know, sometimes that's what you do. But get one that you feel comfortable with, and you can get them on Amazon. I don't remember how much they cost. So you catch one, and what I do is I catch all the ones I need, and I put them in my mesh bag. And then the day, or if I'm doing it for a school or an event, then I come and I have people help me tag them. Because one of the most life-changing experience for many people is to actually be able to hold a monarch and maybe even put the tag on it. So I will actually bring them out, help them feel comfortable, put it in their fingers, we'll put the tag on, and then we all say a little, you can, whatever you want to call it, you can say a prayer, you can give it a moment, you can have quiet, and then we release them. And I've had people just cry as they're doing it. So this is what you're going to want, is to catch your monarch and get ready and go for it. Now, what we're going to do is see Casey, who is going to show you how to catch monarchs in this fabulous way. You think that will work for you? It's got really nice classical music. And again, you can go to their YouTube for Monarch Watch.
Hi, I'm Casey from Monarch Watch, and I'm going to show you how you can catch a butterfly. To catch the butterfly, you want to sneak up to behind and below with your net and move very slowly so it doesn't get startled. And when you're about a foot away, you want to quickly make a swooping motion and flip over the net so the butterfly can't escape, like this. Once you've caught your butterfly, you want to keep your net like this so the butterfly cannot escape through the opening. Now to actually pull out the butterfly, you want to gently grab the butterfly from the outside while you reach your other hand in and grab it as well. Now you want to grab the butterfly from either its thorax or the edge of its front wing, and you can gently pull it out, just like that.
Ta-da! Easy, right?
Can practice with first.
Well, we could try, you could come, that's the thing is that's why I found the one for me, because he is like, yeah, you just, well, most of the flowers you may find, you're coming up and it's not, and they might be inside the middle of a bush. So that's where because if you come up and try to do this thing, which a lot of people do, I'm beating the bush up. I'm destroying all the flowers. So I do a lot of, and I actually end up getting 2 or 3 in the net, and then I'm like, or you get a couple bees too and everything, and I've gotten stung. But okay, just a real quickie again, you're going to catch them and you're going to decide if it's a male or a female. And again, it'll take you time to feel comfortable where you can actually hold it by its thorax, but kind of open the wings. A lot of times you can tell it's a male because you can see those pouches, those circles on the outside. But if you're not sure, you don't feel comfortable, you can open it up, but you don't want to hurt those wings. So you're going to find out if it's a male or female. What the pictures down here show, actually, what they did is, this is called the discal cell, and that's where you're going to put your tag. They actually took their thumb, and I don't recommend, but for training, then they made a little scraping to show this is where you're going to put your tag. And then they put the tag, and there it is, and then they're going to release it. So this is what, again, is in your brochure that tells you everything you have to do. And once you've got it done, do not let go of it yet, because you need to, let's see if you're going to record it. So make sure and record. And the main thing you're going to have is that little number on the tag. You're going to have the day, the month, the year, male, female. The other thing is, are they reared or are they wild? Unless you know somebody actually was raising monarchs, they're going to be wild. I've never had that I could say it was reared, but maybe in some instances they do. Then it's going to be the city, the state, your zip code, and there you go. All right. Now, I just gave you some of these pictures. This is a really cool one, again, of the one where they punched the hole. And again, these monarchs survived. And that's from the University of Florida. This is one of mine. And this is one of the original old ones that they started with. We've now gotten up to 4 letters and I think only 3 numbers. So you go and record. You then wait, and if you want, you can go back later and you can go in the next season and see if anybody reported that they found them in Mexico. And Janet?
You recorded on your paper.
No. You went into here. You go to submit monarch watch tagging data jotform.com. You have to record, they'll let you know if you haven't responded. They'll put things, No, they will ask you to do it. You can do it as an Excel that you did your own sheet, but they prefer that you put it on JotForm. You can also go into their website after the fact, and I've gone back several years of the times I've been doing this to look at, because I've kept all my sheets, and you look in my AGUU 800 to AGUU 879 or something to see if those tags, has anybody reported that they were found. No, but that's okay, So what I wanted you to know is that everybody can do this. It's only for like 3 weeks in October. It's so much fun. If you don't have a chance to do it, go to the Texas Discovery Gardens or find someone. A lot of master naturalists, Connie and I am usually, or someone is out during the tours, and this isn't an advertisement per se, but if you want to see it, we usually have at the tours on Saturday at the Laura W. Bush Native Texas Park. It's free. You just come in at 10 o'clock and we go on a tour, and we will be down by the wildflower meadow by a live oak tree, and we will be tagging monarchs and releasing if they're here. If they aren't, we'll just tell you about it. But you can experience this, because this is kind of what it's all about to me. So that's basically it. These are all my pictures. I did actually have to raise a few of my monarchs in a mesh bag, giving them some milkweed, because the wasps and the anoles were just eating them alive that year. So I brought them in so I could release them. But I just find this to be one of the most exciting things to me. The state fair means monarchs. So not corny dogs, it's monarchs. So that's basically it, unless you have any questions or comments, I'll be glad. Yes, ma'am.
I have a page on here.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so, you said that some of them will migrate down to Florida.
Yeah, they'll actually come from the East Coast and they'll go down, they'll actually stay in Florida.
Is there
Or they
like
might-
a preserve, like?
Not that I asked John once, and he's from Florida, and he said they don't really have a preserve. They kind of go in here, and some of them will actually go down to the island, but they'll hang out. So that's the best answer I could give on that one.
So you said there were 3 different types of monarchs?
Yeah, there's the southern, our monarch, and then the African monarch.
So ours is only in the Americas?
Ours is the only one in the North American continent from Mexico, Canada, and it's the only one that migrates.
Right, but I'm just, if I were to, and I'm on the website and read, but if the child was to ask me, the ones that we tag and track, are they the only ones that are in North America?
Yeah. You know, and it's specifically I cannot do Latin well, Danus plexicus, you know, so you could tell them it's that specific genus.
You said that you will.
Oh, I
What are
did,
your thoughts on that? Because I've seen exactly 2 larvae in my yard.
right. Well, and how big were they?
Probably,
Yeah, I know. The only reason I did was I was doing it for the school. So we were doing, I helped at Moss Haven for a long year. And so we were doing that so the kids could see that. You know, it's kind of the thing of Doug Tallamy and all that about caterpillars and feeding the birds. You know, it's nature. If I wasn't out there and watching and something got it, you know, just because it might be endangered doesn't mean that I should go wild. I was doing it for Moss Haven for specifically an activity we were doing with the kids. So that's why I was keeping them there. And John was feeding me all the info I needed to do. And, you know, like how to take, once I found the chrysalis, how to take and hot glue it on a stick. And that's okay. I've done lots of those. So, yeah.
what is the state of the preserve?
I understand I didn't do a lot of research on exactly, but the hectare, they measure them by hectare and it's getting smaller. The people who collect and that find them and report them back, there is a monetary benefit for them. And so they've tried to make it more of a benefit of help us this way, as opposed to farming and destroying the trees. But it's, the main thing I read about though, is that the ones coming down into California, that has been the worst, because of all the wildfires and the loss of that they're having more of an issue than even down in Mexico right now.
One thing. Oh, no, it was not, what is the condition of the area? Is it shrinking or are these?
I mean, it's kind of like shrinking. Yeah, well, it's one of those of it's a catch-22. It shrinks a little, then they stop, you know, so depends on what's going on in Mexico. Yes, oh, I'm sorry, did we get,
I'm done, thank you.
okay, Janet.
I just want to say, I spent years trying to catch monarchs unsuccessfully until I went out with Lois. And she showed me what she did, and then I could catch them.
Yeah.
So this business of catching them in flight, flipping them, yeah. Nice in theory, but not in application.
Did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, so you were saying that the 4th generation butterflies are like 6 to 8 months.
7 to 8, yeah.
What's the average lifespan of a butterfly?
Well, just one that's coming up, just the one regular generation, it's about 40, 50 days from the from the egg to the full adult. Yeah, and most butterflies are that, you know.
Yeah, the adults live 2 to 4 weeks
Yeah,
normally,
yeah.
that aren't in the super.
Yes, ma'am.
That leads me to another thing, because you said that the ones that we want to tag are the ones that are migrating. So we have butterflies that are hatching now and.
Well, and there are those who are raising, you know, if you've ever seen people have weddings and it's kind of out of sync.
Gotcha.
So, and I took the one out that I had, tagged at the, Native Texas Park, 2 butterflies. The exact numbers, 800 and 801. And I was really excited because they were close to each other, and I tagged them and then I released them. And my friend Mary Lou and I were out there, and we went about 10 minutes later and we looked over and they had attached. So if they had attached, the male was on top, he had clasped her, and they were, fertilizing eggs. They probably are not of that generation.
Right.
So that's how you can kind of know. But when they look really pristine and clean and gorgeous and not a little kind of bratty on the side of the wings, you probably know. But you still tag them, because if they make it down to Mexico, then they know it started here and got there, So,
One thing we should mention is
yes, ma'am.
about the tropical.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was the whole idea of the OE and trying that, is that you really don't want tropical, what is that? The Asclepiopus, yeah, Corisavia. You don't want tropical milkweed. You want a native milkweed. Tropical, there's a discussion going on as to you plant it, but then you cut it back in, say, September and do all this stuff. No, just, we've got enough native milkweeds that we do not need to have those. You can have butterfly weed that still has the same kind of orange color. And it's not a larva. Yeah, it's not one that they are going to lay their eggs on. But overall, then you're not dealing, because the OE parasite is really becoming an issue. And so why do we need to have that if it's going to make it worse? So just don't plant tropical milkweed. Some of them will call it Texas milk. And there is a Texas milkweed. So it's very confusing. Again, know the botanical names. Yes, ma'am.
So that, fungus or bacteria, it doesn't grow on the natives that we have here?
As far as I know, we haven't run into that. As far as coming on
the tropical, in some climates, does not go dormant. It comes back. And it would be that those little mites that carry the OE parasite would persist on that plant, and so it would continue to
go back to the OE page. I don't remember where that
If
is.
you grow tropical, you
Oh.
should cut it back by the end of September, so it's not available to the migrators. Because if the migrators are drawn out of their sexual diapause, they will die after they mate and lay the eggs, or the male runs out of sperm. And their offspring will be too late to make it out of town in time.
Yeah.
So, you're killing off 2 generations. And typically, I know John gets
Oh, yeah.
tons of.
Come the latter part of October, people would be bringing in,
and caterpillars in the winter.
and we bring them into the butterfly house and let them go through their whole process, and they come out and they harden. And the first thing they're trying to do is they're beating themselves up against the glass, trying to migrate, trying to leave. And so, the idea of our native milkweeds do not do that enticement of the way their flowers and everything. So that they've developed with the monarchs so that the females are not going to lay anything because they're not blooming, they're not doing.
Yes,
So that's how nature works.
They've kind of gone dormant.
Yeah, so they're not going to be having that. So that's why when we start mucking around with the way it's supposed to be, we end up with issues. I think there was one more potential question. Or yes, ma'am.
Where do you find the tag?
The tags,
Once they've been tagged,
once they've been,
once they've been tagged,
people
find the tag.
they're down in Mexico in the area, in the preserve, and those people there, if they find them, and can I take a picture? Now that we've got all the technicians, they can send it off to Monarch Watch and say, there it is. And then if I wrote it down that it's my one, and then they can do that,
So
I have found one tagging where it was it came through and it had been tagged in Kansas,
Yeah,
but it came through here and it got my name.
yeah.
So then I could report it and say, I found this on this day and here's the number, so it came from Kansas and it got to Dallas anyway, so. Naturally.
So even if we catch one that's already been tagged, we can report that we found it. The only reason mine was the tag fell off, and so I added my own. But you can, if you catch one that's been tagged already, you just let them know online. There's a specific website that you
So
do
when
that.
you find one tag already, you release it.
Yeah, we just let it go, but we go on to the website and we note that we found it here in Dallas, Texas, and it was number da-da-da. Yes, sir.
The tags, are they, the tags that we have, are these like the standard version tags, or are they like tags with like mini GPS?
No, we've not gotten to that. I'm sorry, what?
I thought M,
Am I-
there, University of Michigan has those tiny microscopic.
They could have done, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that. I just know my,
They're super expensive. I don't.
yeah,
think
well,
we
and see,
can-
yeah, I mean, that's just, I don't have to pay a whole lot of money for my 150 tags. You know, and that's kind of a neat thing, but if, I think the report I read said only 2% of those tags that are sold are ever reported, you know, found, seen, whatever. So that's a large, you know, or that's a small number. Well, thank you for all your questions. Yes, ma'am.
Can the tags be used from year to year?
Well, I have mine from 2023,
Okay, so
and they said I can use those, but the 2022, which is the ones I handed around, they don't feel the adhesive will last. So that's why. It's not the numbers or anything, it's that the adhesives may not still work. And the worst, the thing I didn't tell you is you're ready, and you've got it set, and you've got your Monarch, and you're ready, and you're trying to get that off. So there's usually I have a friend usually helping, they already have it on their thumb, or they've got it little, and so they help get it on, because you're holding a butterfly and you're trying to get the tag off, and you're trying to get it on there without hurting it, and you just start screaming. So, you know, yeah, so if you have a little fingernail, you put it on your thumb, pop it to go, you know, that kind of thing. And that's what John taught me, was to use your thumbnail and pick it up with your, and it'll be just a little bit on your thumb. Oh, all these wonderful little things. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I mean, thank you. I mean, I hopefully you've learned something, and you'll appreciate when you see the monarchs going by, that maybe somebody's tagging them, or just appreciate them because they're sharing their life with you. So, thank you. Well,
Okay, we've got a door prize. Carol, can you tell me how many people signed in?